Good morning. We have with us the eye drop man of India. This guy is also called as the Elon Musk on pharma industry. I introduce all of you, Mr. Nikhil Masurkar, CEO of Entod Pharmaceuticals, one of the largest players in Indian ophthalmology segment. Welcome to the show, Nikhil.
Thank you so much for having me here. I really appreciate, and also appreciate the kind words.
So, is it okay if I move to first name basis?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So tell us more about your early days. How was it growing up in a business family? And I see you're a very grounded person. So tell me about your early days.
So, we are a very kind of grounded family, very down to earth. There's no shosha or hi-fi behavior in our family since I was a kid. Yes, we've always been involved in business and, by the grace of God, done quite well. But we were always taught that, values are everything. Your family history, your legacy, all of this, kind of there is a responsibility towards it. And so, yeah, I think we've always been like that. And I grew up in a family where I used to watch cataract surgeries on the TV. In those days, my dad
Really?
used to be involved in certain surgical instruments as well. So coming back from school, it was putting on the TV, and my dad used to, watch these surgeries. So I also ended up learning about cataract surgery at that young age. I didn't understand it that well, but there was no option, and my dad then used to explain to me. So, I think pharmaceuticals and ophthalmology was always there in my blood, in my home since I was a kid.
So probably it was ingrained in you since you were growing up since a very young age.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at that time, at that age, when you're a kid, you don't really know what you want to do, and I had no clue. And I actually never thought that I'll end up, doing the same thing what my dad and granddad did. But yeah, this was kind of second knowledge for me, and I always had from those days some kind of an interest in eye care and eyes. Because at home, all that my dad and mom used to talk about was about eye drops and sterile manufacturing and all of that. And so slowly I picked up these things.
So before I move further, please tell us the inception story of Entod Pharmaceuticals, how it all started and how it became one of the largest conglomerate houses in the country.
So Entod was started by my grandfather in 1977. So my grandfather was an early pioneer in the pharma industry. He launched many popular brands in India, like Crocin, for example. He was called as India's original
that's
Crocin
amazing.
man. But then he retired early from that company, and his passion was in eye care, in ENT, and in derma. So he set up Entod with whatever limited funds he had from an early retirement. And he wanted to basically set up a company, set up a pharma unit that deals around the 5 basic human senses. That is the E for ears, the sense of hearing, N for nose, the sense of smell, T for throat, the sense of taste, O for ophthalmology or eyes, the sense of the sense of sight, and D for the dermatology or the sense of touch. Because he believed that these 5 senses we all take for granted. And I remember my granddad telling me much later on that we give importance to almost every other body system except these 5 basic human senses, which literally runs our entire lives. So he was keen to basically have something in place that can optimize these 5 senses, and that's how Entod was born. And then from there on, we started as a contract manufacturer. We were one of the first to set up an eye drop factory in India.
Oh, that's amazing.
My granddad had to import machinery from Germany, try and train people here in India, set up an eye drop manufacturing plant. And then we moved from contract manufacturing towards our own R&D and then ultimately having our own marketing and sales team in India, and then going international. So this is how we progressed since 1977. So it's been 48 years now.
That's amazing story. What I want to know about you next is how did you manage to take the brand global? I guess you're active in more than 50 plus countries, if I'm not mistaken. So tell us about your journey about taking your brand global. What issues did you face? Were there any compliances and regulations that you had to deal with? Tell us about that part, please.
So I think when I joined the family business in 2012, obviously it was my vision to take the company kind of global. At that time, we were mainly an Indian company with an Indian business. So it was a challenge initially because in regulated markets, in those days, Indian manufactured pharmaceuticals were not, especially in the ophthalmic space, were not that well accepted. So I remember having to struggle in that area in the early days of trying to take a brand to international heights. But then I think we really had to upgrade our technologies. We had to upgrade our products. We had to upgrade our packaging, our branding, and I think ultimately we managed to establish in markets where no other ophthalmic company from India managed to establish, which I think is all the grace of the Almighty. It's my grandfather's blessings, and my grandfather also always wanted us to take Entod all over the world. So today we're selling our medicines in almost 67 countries now, and we've reached countries where no other pharmaceutical company has reached. We've managed to introduce new molecules in ophthalmology in countries which never had access to those molecules. Like we for example, in certain African countries, we were the first ones to introduce prostaglandins, and they had never had those options. So I think that's how we took it. I think at the end of the day, I think if your intent is honest, your vision is clear, I think things happen, and automatically you will go all over the world for it.
So are you guys US FDA approved? I mean, why am I asking you this question? If a company brand is US FDA approved, this is what I'm thinking, correct me if I'm wrong, does it mean that you are actually cleared up globally to scale your product everywhere? Is that a compliance that is necessary? I mean, like you said, you are active in 67 countries. So probably you must have had to take the drug registration certificate of all those separate countries, or is there a singular body globally which, if you have that compliance, it is acceptable to all those countries?
No, a US FDA approval is not needed for a manufacturing facility to export to many countries. There are other accreditations, like for example, we have a WHO GMP certification, we have a PICS accreditation, and then every country and their regulator has their own regulatory processes to give accreditation to different manufacturing plants. So a US FDA is not as such required unless you have plans to sell in the US, which was never our plan. I mean, I actually always joke around that our Indian pharma industry is very US centric. Whenever someone gets an entry in the US, it becomes a big thing. I'm always very India centric. I think we have a huge population. There is a lot to do in our own country, and I think there's a lot more to get excited about when things are sold in India than when it's sold anywhere else in the world. So yes, it's a matter of pride that we are in so many countries, but we mainly cater to countries of, you can say, the global south, emerging countries, emerging markets, where we can make a difference. And I don't believe selling anything in US, I will be able to make a difference. They're also very innovation driven. I would rather make a difference in Southeast Asia, in the African countries, where I can create some impact moving forward.
That's so good and amazing. That's an amazing vision that you've got. But to all these 67 countries that you're making, the product is manufactured in India itself.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. I mean, I think for us, our Make in India, strategy started well before,
The slogan
the
was
early
created.
before the slogan was created. My grandfather was very, very passionate about this. He was a true Indian, very nationalistic, very patriotic. And even at one point when we started our company in the UK, I remember him telling me that, you can start your marketing sales anywhere, but make sure you manufacture only in India. And we stuck with that. And yeah, so I think we are proud of the fact that we make in India. In fact, there was a time when the Made in India slogan or logo wasn't really that accepted in the UK, in Europe. Today, when you say Made in India or Make in India, they automatically kind of perceive that this is going to be of the right quality. So actually, there is more trust in the Make in India brand abroad than probably in India.
Right, because we are hardwired since our childhood, since a very long time, to probably think and understand that a product which comes from outside the country is of superior quality, whereas you have been changing the norm for over the years, right?
Yeah, I mean, I visited manufacturing plants all over the world. I've had the privilege of doing that. I've also seen and been to hundreds of manufacturing units in India, and I can safely say that we have a very high international standard when it comes to manufacturing. I've seen plants in Europe that are not up to the mark, but I've seen great manufacturing plants in India where you enter the plant, you will not even believe that you're in India. And this is happening in our country now, and I think people need to know about this, because this will really help our global competitiveness moving forward as well.
So, where do you have your manufacturing plants in India?
So our manufacturing plant is in Maharashtra itself. It's in Ambernath, where we started off. That is what that our first manufacturing plant was in Navi Mumbai, in Rabale, and then the second one started in Ambernath. And then we also have a lot of a manufacturing network across India, where we have loan licenses with some really good plants, where we've invested a lot of time and effort and money in as well. So we have quite a diverse manufacturing network, which has the capability of manufacturing over 300 medicines and selling it in countries all over the world.
That's amazing. So, this is one question which I've been trying to figure out. Different companies have different type of packaging bottles, and there was this trend, I think, just after COVID, the Novelia packaging bottles came in. They were really difficult to use. I mean, you had to press a lot for one
Yeah.
drop to be let out. And some people started complaining. This is the feedback that we got from patients, that you have to press a lot, especially elder patients with health issues and arthritis. They used to find it really difficult to administer the drops. And then they suddenly went away. The Novelia packaging, it was hot for some time, and it went away. So, do you also manufacture the bottles, the packaging of the bottles yourself, or is that a completely different guy? And could you please tell us about the different packaging that is done with the eye drops?
Yeah, so actually, since you mentioned Novelia, we were one of the first to take on the Novelia bottle when it first was introduced into India. Um, but you're right that the bottles are not really that convenient to use. They're not that patient friendly. They somehow do very well in Europe, but in India, for some reason, they haven't really done as well. So we also didn't give it that much importance moving forward. I think now only two of our products are still in the Novelia bottle. Um, at the same time, single dose Unims also became popular in Europe at one point, but again they didn't quite work in India. So ultimately, I think what we have now is, and I feel that the best bottle would be a normal, high quality, multi-dose bottle. multi-dose bottle with a safer preservative. I think that works in India. It does really well. And we don't manufacture the eye drop bottle as such. There are separate manufacturers who do it. But as a pharma company, we get involved in the specifications of what kind of polymers should be used, whether those polymers are compatible in the plastic with the components of the formulation. So we stipulate a lot of the specifications, which are then passed on to the bottle manufacturer, and we get our own bottles customized for our formulations. And for example, even once the bottle is manufactured, they need to be ETO sterilized, gamma radiated, depending on the nature of the formulation. So all of those precautions have to be taken, and we have almost 48 years experience in eye drop manufacturing. So we've seen the best and the worst also when it comes to bottles.
Absolutely true. I'm going to touch on a sensitive topic. Recently, you launched a very innovative product, Pressview, and it got a lot of media attention. I never understood why. And eventually, the DCGI managed to, I guess, revoke the license or the permission that they have given. What was your experience with this entire thing? Could you please share?
Yeah, I mean, see, I think for any Indian company, when they invest in research, they invest in phase 3 clinical trials, they spend all that money, that effort, that time trying to launch something for the first time in India. It's always an exciting time for the industry, and it motivates the younger entrepreneurs as well in the pharma industry that this is possible. This is not just a US game, India can do it too. So when we got the approval for this, obviously, we were all excited. And like what we've done in the past when we got new DCGI approvals, we thought, we can do a press release, to basically announce the approval of this medicine, by the drug regulator. I mean, what happened then was that it got so much media attention, more than we had never even planned that. I mean, we don't have that kind of media pull like how some of the big pharma has in India. So we were not expecting anything. In fact, we've done press releases for other new approvals that we've had, and nothing happened. It was literally, it's basically to show doctors that, we have got an approval for something. Because doctors read a lot of those news networks, those online news channels, and all of that. So that is the agenda, because these are prescription medicines, so they're not targeted to the public. They're targeted to doctors. In this case, it got so much media attention. It became a bit too popular. There was a media frenzy about this. And I think that raised concerns by the DCGI, who was rightly concerned that this could reach the wrong hands, that maybe people would go to the chemist and buy this, and that's why the license was temporarily suspended. But I think more than that, I think for me personally, I think this is a game-changing moment in my life, where I realized actually what my mission really is. I actually thought to myself that without even trying, that the common person started knowing what presbyopia is. I mean, I never imagined that. And I was thinking, can I do this in the future for awareness of myopia? Can I do this in the future for awareness of glaucoma? Can I run campaigns and make national news for awareness of these conditions, so that people visit an eye doctor at least once a year, irrespective of whether they have any symptoms or not, including children? And I think if we could manage to do it, then I think it's a win-win situation for us in India. So I think through this entire episode of Pressview, I think I realized that what can be done in the future in terms of us genuinely looking into the eye health of our country, of our people. So I look at it as a very, very positive thing. In fact, we have a lot of new approvals coming up. We have work happening in myopia, in glaucoma, whole range of for a whole range of eye conditions. And I think that this is just the start of many greater things to come, and for us to create a genuine impact in India. Whenever you try and create a genuine impact, there will always be a bit of disturbance. You'll always shake a few things up,
Definitely.
But I think that shaking up was needed when it comes to eye health. Now there are people who are even in the smaller towns who somehow know what presbyopia is, and who somehow now want to visit a doctor.
That's actually true what you're saying.
And somehow want to visit a doctor because they don't understand what they saw in the news. So I look at it as a very positive thing. I think this is the birth of, public eye health promotion in India.
That's actually very true. It takes us a lot of mehnat to counsel the patient. Okay, now you've crossed a certain age and you're going to need glasses for your near vision. This is called as presbyopia, and you manage to do it in one single day. And that's just amazing. And this shows literally how media can affect the general knowledge of the public. Moving on to the next segment. For the last 2 years, there has been a lot of talk about how AI is going to change the world, how it's revolutionizing healthcare. So, how are you guys employing AI in your businesses and coming up with newer functionalities?
So, AI, I know there's a lot being talked about it. It needs to be used responsibly. But I think in the pharmaceutical space, it has tremendous applications. Like, for example, we are now using generative AI in new drug development. A process that would have taken 2 to 3 years can be done in literally 48 hours with the right kind of AI models. For example, if you want to develop a new therapeutic option, a molecule for keratoconus, for example, an AI model will be able to guide you to the kind of molecule that you can actually test in a very, very short period of time. So we actually have an AI lab within our R&D center, and I believe in ophthalmology is one of the first in India to do so. And there is a lot of application. We've already started using it especially for rare eye conditions. We also use AI in marketing now, in sales. A lot of our processes have become automated, and AI plays a very important role in that. So I think all in all, I think it's a great. We are living in great times where we can get a lot of these things automized. It needs to be supervised also. In India, it's not all about artificial intelligence. I think natural intelligence is equally important. It needs to be a balance. Even when we use AI, the other half of it is our people, our team, who is really putting in their 100% at all times. And when both work hand in hand, as you can say jokingly, that man with a robot working together, I think we can do wonders.
I wanted to ask you about these hyper-local companies that are cropping up nowadays. In a lot of cities, I'm seeing it in my city as well. I'm sure it's a pan-India phenomena. What do you think is happening? I personally feel they are not very, the efficacy of these drops is not very proper, if that's the word, if I can use. It's mostly being done for commercial reasons. What do you think about it?
So I think, firstly, I don't think we need more pharma companies, at least in the ophthalmic space. And very honestly, I'm sure that all of you doctors also don't want more companies where you have to see more medical reps. So we're in a situation where you're right, because of commercial reasons or some people wanting to make a quick buck will try and get into it. I think the way I look at it is that it kills innovation in the market. Then we end up with so many Me Too brands which are similar, and then quality and innovation is compromised. So I don't even look at it as competition. I just look at it as a lost opportunity to innovate. So if new companies spring up where they want to do genuine research and come out with something new in the market, then yes, I'm all for it. And as a company, that's been there for over 48 years, we will also support that. But Me Too companies, Me Too brands, PCD companies, I think this is all, not in the right spirit of the pharma industry. And I think they will be phased out moving forward as well. And I think here I also want to say that, the intent of a pharma company is everything. Now, our intent is that we create a change. I've always been an impact-driven leader, not a results oriented leader. So if a pharma company can create an impact, it's great. And if we have a few more of them, it's fine. But if it is just for commercial reasons, just to make a quick buck, then I don't think it is the right way. It's a waste of talent. We have so much talent, so many skills in this country. And we are simply using it to churn out the same stuff over and over again.
That's very true, actually. Um, Even I believe what you're saying, they will eventually phase out. Um, Moving on, if this is something which I'm really, the purpose with which I created this podcast is tomorrow, let's say, some newcomer in the world of ophthalmology wants to create a pharma company like Entod from the ground up. What route should he or she take? How should they go about doing it?
So, I mean, see, in my case and the case of my family, we are pharmacists, researchers first. Business came afterwards. You learn the ropes of business as you start getting involved in what you do and with something you have passion for. So, the technical knowledge is the key. So anyone wanting to start a pharma company, I think the number one is they need to have the right technical qualifications. They need to be doing a B Pharm or M Pharm, and try and up their technical expertise in the pharmaceutical field. And then also they need to be research oriented as well. I think that will significantly improve their chances of success in the industry. And then there also comes the actual mission and purpose of why you're doing it in the first place. And I think if that is clear, I think one will always be successful. Like in my case, for example, in the case of Entod, our mission is to create a change and to contribute to philanthropy. And actually, all the younger people listening to this, I think the message that I want to put across is that the whole point of business or purpose ultimately is philanthropy. And if that is your ultimate goal, any business you start, whether it's a hospital chain or whether it's a pharmaceutical company, will be successful. It will be profitable. So I think the goal should be very clear. It should be about philanthropy. It should be about what you can give back to society. I mean, for example, I may not be around tomorrow, but glaucoma will, myopia will, cataract surgery will. These will be on and will continue. So if I can or you can, together we can create something that will help and which will create a legacy. I think then we know that we're on the right track, and then everything we do will be successful.
That's actually very true. But let's say tomorrow I want to start a pharmaceutical company along the lines of Entod Pharma in a very ethical and legal way, and you make it a very good brand. How do I go about doing that? How can you help me over there? Are there a lot of compliances, rules and regulations?
There's a lot of compliances. I mean, the pharmaceutical industry is becoming more and more regulated here in India. Right from the licenses you need to obtain to the accreditation of the plant. And there are a lot of regulatory compliances, legal compliances now. Then now we also have the patent, laws. There are so many things to kind of look into. It's a whole new ball game. So if somebody can put their heart and soul into it, and they have 24 hours available to spend time in this, then it is possible. It's no longer going to be something that chalo kal hum pharma company nikalenge.
It's not that simple.
It is not going to happen. Maybe it did happen in the past, but moving forward, and we know the regulatory landscape is changing so fast in India, because India wants to up its game when it comes to international pharmaceutical marketing and sales. So our standards are going higher and higher. India is no longer a cheaper place to manufacture. In fact, I know of a lot of European factories, manufacturing units who are more affordable, if you can say, than the companies here in India. So it's not that easy. It's a very complicated game, and only if one is 100% sure that this is what they want to devote their entire life into, and not just a short to medium term kind of project, then they should go for it full on.
That's absolutely true. I did not know that manufacturing is getting costlier in our country, and actually it's much costlier in the UK. That came as a shocker to me. Anyways, I want you to tell me your perspective about how you see the world of ophthalmology in terms of practice that has changed over the past 5 years. I mean, the industry has changed altogether. How do you see this world of ophthalmology moving forward?
See, I think having traveled the world and having met ophthalmologists from different countries, I mean, I passionately believe that here in India, we have some of the best ophthalmologists and eye surgeons who treat some of the most complicated cases that you could ever come across. I think this space is now getting more organized. It is getting more kind of corporatized, and I think it's a good thing. I think it would help to improve the management of hospital care, and I think moving forward, I think the healthcare industry will be more focused on eye health prevention as well. Diagnostics, regular checkups, screening. I know this is happening all over, but there is no kind of, it's not formalized in any way. And I think as we get more and more organized, I think these things will be much better managed. Like, for example, ophthalmologists getting involved in school awareness programs, because children's eye health is a big issue today. We have almost 1 in 4 children being myopic in India, and it's estimated by 2050, I think one in every 2 children will be myopic, and that will obviously have repercussions when it comes to early cataracts and a whole range of eye conditions, as you know. So I think there's a lot of scope in ophthalmology. There is a long way to go, and I think because we have such a highly skilled ophthalmic fraternity, I think we can do wonders. I think India can be the epicenter of ophthalmic care of the world.
Oh, this is just something off my top of my head. Why is it? You just said that manufacturing in India is getting costly, and yet somehow we still retain the tag of being the pharmacy of the entire world. How does that correlate?
Yeah, I mean, I've actually never liked that statement that India is the pharmacy of the world. It looks like it's a factory, and when you think of factory, you think of China.
Right.
And I don't want my pharma industry to be a China. I want my pharma industry to be, say, a balance between a bit of China and the US. So innovation should be at the heart of what we do. So more than it being the pharmacy of the world, I always say, and in previous interviews and podcasts I've said, I want it to be the world of pharmacy. And the world of pharmacy means not just manufacturing or self-reliance in manufacturing, but self-reliance in research, self-reliance in public health awareness, self-reliance in academics as well. and all aspects of what we understand healthcare to be. So I think it's much more than manufacturing. Manufacturing is, if you ask me, it's a relatively easy and a relatively boring job. It's the same thing that happens again and again. And as long as you have a system in
Innovation,
place,
on the other hand, is
it will
completely
happen.
different.
Innovation is exciting.
Yeah.
And if we want our kids to get involved in science and research, we have to innovate in the pharma industry. We cannot have the same old Me Too brands. A 20-year-old is not going to be impressed or attracted to the same old brands and trying to sell it left, right, and center. They'll want something new to challenge them.
Absolutely. This is the last segment of the podcast. It's not been that long for you being in the industry. I mean, you're pretty young and you have a pretty long way ahead of you. What have been some greatest achievements of yours along the way till now? And where do you see yourself taking the company ahead in the next, let's say, 20 years or so? Kindly let us know.
So, I mean, see, there's been a lot of achievements. I always believe that every day you start from zero. Sometimes for about 10 seconds, you need a pat on your back, somebody to say, oh, you've done a good job. And that kind of motivates you. But then what? Then you have to start all over again. So there has been good achievements. I mean, we've been one of the first to launch an intracameral mydriatic an anesthetic used in cataract surgery. We were the first ones to commercialize a low dose atropine therapy for myopia. We started various concepts. We started the concept of intracameral moxifloxacin to prevent endophthalmitis. We also, when it comes to presbyopia, we started a therapeutic option for the first time. So these are all kind of achievements which I think are a stepping stone for the bigger things to come. And I'm more excited about what is to come in the next 10 years and what impact I can create. See, I believe the pharma industry has a duty of care equally to patients like what doctors have. And public health awareness is, I think, part and parcel. I actually believe that a product or a medicine is just a small part of what a pharma company can offer. It should offer a service where health promotion, public health awareness, academics, research all goes hand in hand, where the product is just a small part of things. I think there is a long way to go. I mean, I don't really, if I actually sit back and think about all the things I've done in the last 10 years, trust me, I won't do anything tomorrow. So I rather not think about it. If the impact is there in the industry, great. But I have a long way to go and there's a lot of things that I still need to do. And before I leave, I want to make sure that I create a genuine impact in India.
Are we going to ever see you taking the company public?
See, we are open for all of these ways of funding. There is no concrete plan as of yet. But as long as we can fulfill our mission, whether it is to go public or go through any other route, we will do whatever it takes to reach our mission. I mean, our company is quite uniquely placed in what it does. And I don't think many of you may know this, but a significant amount of a profit goes for philanthropy. We have our Matanand Welfare Foundation, and that goes into health awareness campaigns. It goes into children's education. It goes into Save the Girl Child and a lot of these initiatives. So philanthropy is the ultimate aim of what we want to do side by side in addition to making an impact on the ocular health of the nation. Going public will be a good thing because I can get more people involved in that vision, and more people will realize that they can actually contribute through investing in us in a positive way. So we are open for everything. But yeah, right now our efforts are in trying to come out with something new, no matter how challenging it is. It's always challenging for a researcher. Out of 10 projects, maybe 6 may work and 4 may terribly fail. But that is the name of the game when it comes to research and innovation.
any particular new drugs that we should be? Are you going to give us leaks of something you are launching in the near future?
See, there are, I don't want to name the molecules or the brands or anything, but I'll just tell you in terms of what we are doing is firstly, we are, doing work in terms of myopia treatment. There is going to be, a new therapy for treatment of myopia. There's going to be lubricating eye drops, specially customized for children, because now digital eye strain is no longer an IT related problem. It's a children's related problem which starts at probably 2 years of age. So we are looking at that. We are looking at insulin drops. That's already come in the news for treatment of neurotropic keratitis. We're looking at losartan eye drops for corneal scarring. And then there's a few others which I cannot mention because we're still in the process of patent application, which will completely, I believe, revolutionize the segment. It's an exciting time, and for me to be part of this is not a matter of, it's a privilege to be part of it, and for it to come from my grandfather's days to where I am now, and to be able to serve this company, I think it's great. So I think those are the things to come.
That's amazing. Thank you for being on the show. Anything else that you would like for me to take care of things moving forward? Like, I know we just had a camera glitch right now, but from the heart of my heart, so I haven't shared this with anybody. I just wrote an email to this person, telling him I run a podcast show. He's such a big fellow, and I was not expecting such a prompt reply. And he just flew down for one day to do this podcast. So thankful for you for being here. Any feedback you would like to tell us?
See, firstly, it's not nothing to do with any big person. See, we are always the small people trying to make a big impact. I always say that we are small pharma trying to create a big impact. So we are always grounded. And actually, when your email was received by my team, I was very keen to have this, because I think this kind of communication is very different to what I'm sure a lot of doctors are used to when it comes to the pharma industry. We look at each other as we are trying to sell a medicine. In the scheme of things, is not that. It is trying to sell something much bigger than that, and that is a vision for the country. And we passionately believe in it. So I think this is great. The podcast that you have started, and I'm sure it will go a long way. And if I could bring any good luck to this, I think it'll be my privilege, and I'll be blessed if that happens.
Let's see if I can have you again here. Thank you for being on the show, Mr. This is Mr. Nikhil Masurkar for you. Signing off.